Yeah, thank you so much, Scott, and good morning, good evening, everyone. My name is Kshitij Malhotra. I will just briefly introduce myself. I work as managing partner of Global IP India. I'm a patent attorney and an advocate in India with more than 17 years of experience in IP. Uh, Let me just give you a heads up of what I will be talking about today. So India is becoming a growing destination for IP filing. And since the topic of presentation of today is to tell or to inform about how to register patents in India in most cost-effective and time-efficient manner, so I will be touch basing upon two aspects. First aspect is how can applicants uh, expedite or quicken examinations in India. So the first aspect that touches upon the formal procedures in the Indian patent law with respect to expediting examination. The second aspect is something about practical, tips of how you can make your prosecution in India more cost efficient and time efficient both. And if time permits, then I would just like to present some recent IP filing trends, basic quantitative data about what's happening in last 5 years with respect to patent filings in India. And last and most important is the question and answer session. And as Scott mentioned, please feel free to to put in your questions in the chat box. So without any ado, let me set the ball rolling and basically take you through my slides for the day. So one thing I would like to just start off with is that this presentation is most primarily focusing with respect to national phase applicants or foreign applicants who file patents in India. So the basic procedure of patent filing in India is part of PCT convention. So the basic patent filing procedure is more or less same, just like the procedure in any other country. So we have the international phase within 31 months of the earliest priority date. We can file a national phase application in India. Once we file a national phase application in India, then this goes on for a publication. Now, this publication is this usually happens 18 months from the earliest priority date. So in case of national phase applications, it happens almost immediately you file an application. Now, the most the topic of presentation today is how to expedite the examination and the common theme across that I have encountered in my professional career, which now is more than 17 years, is that Indian examination is very slow. So that keeping that in mind, once the publication happens, then the applicant is required to file something called as a request for examination. The deadline for this is 48 months from the priority date. Now, there is another option which is the topic of the presentation, as I said, and that's filing request for expedited examination. Now, once you file a request for examination, then the examination report is issued. We call it as first examination report, or in abbreviated as FER. So this is issued usually 12 to 18 months. This is the latest trend. Earlier it was slightly higher, but now within 12 to 18 months of national phase entry, a first examination report is issued. After that, once that report is issued, uh, you know, uh, the applicant gets 6 months, which can be extended to another 3 months by filing a request for extension to respond to the examination report.
We're
One,
having just there's Steve. I'm sorry, Steve, you froze up for just a moment, so please
uh,
continue.
okay, all right. Is that okay now?
Yes.
Okay, okay, so all right. So after the response, if the your response complies to the requirement of the Indian patent examiner, then there is a grant of patent. And if there is, if you don't comply, then of course there is a rejection order. Now there are two. Once the patent is granted, there is a publication of grant, and then just like anywhere else, you need to pay annuities. There are two opposition systems in India. First is something called as pre-grant opposition, which can be filed anywhere, anytime before the grant. And the other one is post-grant opposition, which is 1 year from the date of publication of grant. Now, the topic of today's presentation is request for expedited examination. So let me first take the procedural aspect of filing an expedited examination. Again, just to give you the perspective, this is the contents of the presentation is more for foreign applicants filing into India and how they can request expedited examination under the Indian procedure. Now, request for expedited examination, as I said, is filed usually within 2 to 3 months, and FER is issued. And apart from that, actually, so there is another procedure of converting. So if somebody has already filed a request for examination, then they can convert it into a request for examination, expedited examination. The rest of the procedure remains the same. However, the most important difference comes in the stage where once the applicant has responded to the first examination report, then, as per the Indian procedure, there is a time requirement of 3 months within which the examiner is supposed to statutorily dispose of the application, either reject or grant. So this is a significant difference from the normal procedure of examination. That is that in the expedited examination, there is a 3-month deadline given to the examiner once the response to examination is filed, then that 3 months deadline has to be abided as per law. That's why this procedure is very useful and very quick. And we have experience of getting patents through within an year of filing in India. So I will move forward from here. Scott, I hope everything is okay. My screen is not freezing up.
Everything is great.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. So just a few bit of trends of request for expedited examination. The source is the annual report published by the Indian Patent Office. So you can access this report. And the trend is that this has become one of the favored routes for expediting the examination. When the system was introduced somewhere around 2016, the first year only 298 applications were there. After that, the patent office actually introduced many more categories of applicants, and because of which, in 2021-22, which is last year, 2,513 requests for examination in the expedited mechanism were received. So year on a year, there is a substantial, significant rise in filing of expedited. It has become a favored choice of many domestic, applicants, uh, because of the fact that the system is actually made to incentivize the domestic applicants more than the foreign ones. But the system is open for both domestic and foreign. It's just that because of the marketing and because of the how the entire system is marketed, the domestic applicants are using the system much more as compared to the foreign one. The cost for expediting, so it's expensive actually. So it costs, there is, a fees attached to it. If you, either convert your basic request for examination into a request for expedited examination, or if you file a request for expedited examination at the first instance, the ballpark figure is around $800 for as the government fees or the official fee for expediting or converting your for expediting, filing a request for expediting examination. Of course, this fee is reduced to $100 for individual or natural persons. As I said, reduces time for allowance, and 1 year is a average time you can expect in this route for for an applicant to get a patent issuance or a decision, final decision. Okay, so I will move on to slide number 8, and this is very important. And this is the slide where we can understand about how foreign applicants, what are the qualifying criteria for expediting examination. So the procedure is such that the system is not open to all. It is open to certain category of applicants or certain category of patent applications. That is certain category of either the applicant or depending upon whether the applicant is a big sorry, is a MSME or small medium enterprise, or a startup entity, depending upon that, or depending upon the area of technology. So there are 6 main categories of applicants or applications that could qualify for expediting examination. So the first category is the applicants who have chosen India as the international search authority in the international stage. This is the first, and this is the this is like the most important kind of qualifying criteria. That is, if in the international stage India acts as an international search authority and international preliminary examination authority, and got designated somewhere around 2015-16. And if you have chosen India as the ISA, then you can use that benefit in your national stage entry into India by requesting expedited examination. Basis your examination, which has already occurred in the international stage. Now, at moment, India acts as ISA only for 3 countries or 3 applicants from 3 countries. India, firstly, that is Indian applicants, then the Iranian applicants, and then the third category is Japanese applicants. So as of now, this category is only open to, this category is only open to, applicants from these 3 countries. Second category, as I mentioned in the earlier part of the talk, is the startup and small medium enterprise. So there is a set criteria defined by the patent office regarding what is a startup entity and what is a small medium entity. And if a company, Indian or foreign, if they qualify that criteria, then they can request their application for expediting examination. The third one, category number 3, is applicants whose national patent offices have patent prosecution highway arrangement with India. So again, I mean, last 5 years or so, India has started to or begun to sign PPH arrangements. More there was one pilot which was done post 2019 with Japanese patent office, and at present that pilot is completed and it is basically under evaluation, and further announcement is awaited. But if there is a foreign applicant which has whose national patent office has some kind of PPH arrangement with the Indian Patent Office, then that PPH arrangement can be used. As I said, presently only Japanese Patent Office has one, which has completed the pilot stage and is kind of pending the next stage, or pending the approval for the next stage. Okay, the other category is very interesting. This is the applicant. This is where you have a patent application, and the applicant or one of the applicants, and also all applicants being natural person, is a female. Then also you can use this expedited examination system, and you can file or you can submit a request for expedited examination. Uh, there are two more categories that have been instituted recently, last couple of years. The first one is with respect to certain applications in notified tech sectors, like renewable energy, or green technologies. So the patent office has come up with a program to actually incentivize patent applications filed by way of expediting their examination. Now, as of today, there is no particular tech sector which has been kind of notified, but this is a recent development. So in future, there could be certain sectors where the patent office notifies that the applications in that particular area is open for expedited examination. So in that case, the applicant can submit. The last one, category number 6, is with respect to foreign educational institutions and foreign universities. Now, as per the, again, so these two sectors, these two categories have been recently added. So, with respect to category number 5, as I said, at present, there is no notified sector as of now, but in future there might be. But and also for category number 6, since the rules are very new, although the patent rules make it clear that foreign educational institution and universities, they can use. In my personal experience, I have not come across any application which has been expedited in this manner. But it could be an area where foreign applicant, which is a university or educational, could try. So it will depend upon consulting with your attorney in India and seeing if you qualify the corresponding criteria, and then you can file the request for expedited examination. There is, as I said, there is some uncertainty with respect to this particular category. Nevertheless, for I mean, the two main categories, startups and startup companies and small medium enterprise. The rules are pretty clear that if you are a foreign entity and you fall as either a startup or a small medium enterprise, then you can actually request for expedited examination. So I will just take up what that criteria is quickly. And for MSME, there is a criteria with respect to investment, and there is a criteria with respect to turnover or the annual gross sales of the company. So with respect to MSME, the criteria of investment in plant and machinery, in case of a manufacturing driven company, or in case of service company equipment, is that the investment should not be more than US $6 million. So if it falls below, then, and also the annual gross sale or turnover of the company, it is less than $30 million, then that applicant is qualifies as a medium small, sorry, MSME, micro medium small entity, as per the Indian laws, and they qualify for expediting their patent application for examination. The second criteria is startup company. So the criteria for startup company is that the company age should be less than 10 years from the incorporation date. Company should be either private limited, or I mean privately held company, or a limited liability partnership or registered partnership or equivalent. The third criteria is with respect to turnover, which is less than 100 crores or approximately US $13 million, less than that. And it should be an original entity formed without splitting or reconstruction of any business, which is not a startup according to criteria 1, 2, and 3. And last but not the least is the domain of that this startup should be cutting edge research and development. So if there is a foreign company which qualifies this criteria, then that they can request for expediting their examination. You can read more information about what MSME or what small entity means in India and what startup means in India at these two particular links. Okay, so let me just move forward. So with respect to MSME and startup companies, what documents are required? So documents that are needed is that if a company qualifies these two criteria, then you will require to furnish a copy of your incorporation certificate duly notarized. Latest audited financial statement translated in English in case these documents are not in English language, and certificate from the auditor of the company regarding the annual turnover of the company. So as I said, there is some criteria with respect to turnover and investment in plant machinery or equipment as the case may be. So some kind of certificate from the auditor of the company, auditor on board of the company is required. A brief write-up is required, and also a self-declaration is required that the applicant is a startup or MSME. These are the documents that are required to be furnished along with the request for expedited examination to fulfill the qualifying criteria. Okay, so let me move on to uh, the second last part of my presentation. So this which is slide 11. This slide is mostly on the on the giving you a perspective of a practitioner. So uh, y- having been prosecuting applications, for quite some time, these pointers are something like a practitioner's kind of guidelines or advice or recommendation once you have a national phase entry on how to effectively speeden up the prosecution and also keep the cost of getting a patent reasonable. So first, let me take time efficiency. So time efficiency is, of course, there is something called as the expedited system, which I already explained. Apart from that, what are the other ways there could be to actually make your prosecution time efficient? The first and foremost that is the timely filing of the post-filing documents such as power of attorney, proof of right, that are the assignments, etc. So this is very important. So once you file application, there are certain timelines with respect to filing of these documents after your national phase entry. Uh, a recommendation would be to stick to these timelines and timely file these documents. Second one is filing. Yes, second one is very important, which is filing request for examination at time of entry. Now, India has a system of 48 months, as my first slide mentioned, about 48 months from the priority date for requesting substantive examination. Now, what happens is that once a national phase entry is made and request for examination is filed, once a national phase entry is made, the patent application is not allotted to any examiner until unless a request for examination is made. Number one. The second point is, and which is very important, is that the order in which the assignment of application happens strictly depends upon the the time or the date on which you filed the request for examination. So this is so even if you file an application, it will. What I mean to say is that the application won't be queued into the examination system until unless you submit a request for examination. And the day you submit the request for examination, that will be treated as the day on which your application formally enters, examination stage. And everything will depend from that date rather instead of the filing date. So that's why we recommend, if you're looking at time efficient prosecution in India, to file the request for examination right at the time of entry without any delay. Okay, so the next point is promptly respond to any examination report or any notice issued. So this goes without saying. I mean, this is true for any jurisdiction, but I strictly wanted to mention this. This is much more truer in the Indian sense to promptly respond to any examination report or notice which has been issued. Yeah. Next point is that you, as a national phase, if you are like a startup entity or you are a small medium enterprise, or if you have chosen India as your international search authority, or you have some kind of PPH arrangement, then it is you can think about choosing the request for expedited examination route that I covered in the earlier part of the presentation. And in case of national phase entry, which is made, say, right after you complete the, you get the international search report and you decide to end the chapter one and then only enter India, that is very early than the stipulated 31 months, then you can also consider filing express request for examination. So the basic rule in India premise is that an application which is filed in India through national phase, that won't be examined until unless it completes 31 months from the priority date. In case so that's why in case the applicant has chosen to enter into India at a very early stage, say after 19, 20 months of the from the priority date, then they can it is very much advisable to file the express request for examination. This express request for examination has slightly higher fees, not as high as the request for expedited examination, slightly higher, but we have practically observed that this expedites the issuance of the first examination report. Okay, so moving on to how to make your examination much more cost effective. So regarding cost effectiveness, the Indian Patent Office offers discounts on the government fees to certain entities. So these entities are small, medium entities, which I discussed earlier, and startup, entities. Apart from that, educational institutions or universities, be it foreign or Indian, also can avail up to 75% discounts on the filing and the examination fees. Now, coming to some practical tips, deletion of claims. Yes, so this is also another very interesting point. So what happens in India is that we have something called as stricter kind of, I mean, I'm putting it very loosely, but a stricter threshold in terms of certain inventions in certain area. Uh, uh, that is that in terms of subject matter, evaluation of subject matter for patentability, there are certain inventions in certain area which we call as section 3 inventions, which are not patentable. For example, use of a known substance or any use claim of any new substance, that kind of claim is rejected by the patent examiner right at the first instance. And similarly, claims which are directed to business methods. So our Patent Act clearly says that business method is any claims directed to them are not patentable. Similarly, claims directed to computer program product, not programs. Computer programs are patentable, but computer program product, any claims that are directed to that are not patentable. Now, what happens, and earlier there was a big procedural, kind of lacuna or gap that in the international stage, the applicants used to have these kind of claims and they used to pay the fees accordingly. So what happens is that once you file an application in India, 10 claims are free. Above that, every claim is additionally chargeable. So what used to happen was that these claims, since they were there in the national phase, oh, sorry, in the international stage, they were carried forward or carried over into the national stage. And these claims like use claims or business method, then the examiner used and the applicant used to pay the fees, whatever excess fee was applicable, and the examiner used to cancel. So there was, kind of a procedural kind of, dichotomy. But a few years back in, I guess, 2014, the amendments were made, and now an applicant is allowed to delete claims at the time of national phase entry. So this is very important. So what and a word of advice would be any applicant, foreign applicant filing national phase into India can think about actually consulting their patent attorney to see have a look at the claims filed at the international stage. If there are certain claims which look to be prima facie or looks at the first instance to be something that the examiner might reject, then it would make much more sense to delete those claims right at the stage of entry and not paying up the extra fees. Next one is try filing elaborative response to the examination report with each objection covered. Yeah. So the Indian, patent examiners, they prefer a point by point detailed reply to every objection they raise. So the style that we follow usually in Indian prosecution is to reply in a very detailed manner to the every objection that has been raised, essentially to avoid the situation where you end up in a situation where the examiner appoints something called as an examiner interview or a hearing proceeding, which adds on to excessive cost which could be avoidable. Another one would be to timely report status of foreign family members. Similar, I won't say similar to the IDA system in US, but we have in India have something called as reporting the foreign family members, not the prior art as in the IDS case, but we have the applicant in national, who files a patent application in India is obliged to keep the patent office informed of the foreign family counterparts and the kind of status of that counterpart during the prosecution. So a word of advice is that this is something which is very much manageable. And examiners are kind of very they are very they like to they are fond of pointing out if there is some kind of misreporting or some kind of missed reporting of any family members, and then the rectification for that is filing some kind of petitions to condone that particular informality, which adds on to the prosecution cost. The way to manage that is to timely report the foreign family members status of that to the Indian Patent Office, which will reduce the cost of uh, prosecution overall by reducing the chances or reducing the situations where we are required to file the condonation petition. Moving on. Okay, so the last part of my presentation, I won't take more than 5 minutes from to finish my part now is regarding some recent trends of last 5 years. So all forms of IPR applications have actually grown in India in last 5 years. So this data is all exported from the official patent office report or IP office report available in public domain. So the trends in last 5 years is that all form of IPR applications have actually grown. Especially patent and industrial design applications have grown by 50% in last 5 years. So you can see from 2017, 18, 47,000. We have last year we had like 66,440. I'm sure this will cross this year. It will cross this particular number. Design applications from 11,837 to 22,699. So overall, if you look consolidated, there is a 50% increase in the overall number of applications. Trademark and copyright applications, they have also grown. So trademark applications have also, grown, all you can see, almost doubled. And copyright applications have also almost doubled. Okay, so next slide, some quick trends about what's happening in terms of Indian and foreign applicants. Um, Domestic and foreign applicants filing application, what is how the trend is moving. You can see that the filed applications and in terms of the filing of the applications, the overall number of patent and industrial design applications has grown. So this is the same point that I discussed. But the important point is, and that's something to take notice of, as the domestic patent applications have increased by 100% in last 5 years. And now domestic applicants now constitute 40% of all patents and industrial design applications filed. Earlier, the trend was somewhere around 5 years back was 20%. That is one out of five applications filed at the Indian Patent Office used to be from the domestic uh, or Indian applicant, but now this has is 40%, which is every 2 out of 5 is filed by particular by filed by a domestic company. Patent filings is still dominated by US applicants, and applications by Japanese applicants are increasing. Those of Chinese applicants are decreasing. So these are overall trends. Of course, this is available on public domain through at the annual filing report. You can find it very easily on the Indian Patent Office website if you want to look into the details much more.